Call me Andrew Banks. I remember going to our family doctor when I was 6 years old. His name was Dr. Kidwell, which you have to admit is a terrific name for a doctor. The only way it could have been even better was if he had been a pediatrician. The reason my mom and I went to see Dr. Kidwell was for me to get the physical that was required to enroll in first grade. I'd been mostly healthy during my preschool years, so I hadn't been to the doctor very often. I really liked Dr. Kidwell. He looked just like Santa Claus, with his rather expansive waistline, rosy cheeks, and booming, jolly voice. I never heard him utter a ho, 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 but one here and there would not have surprised me in the least. That morning he took one look at me, and as if he had never seen me before, exclaimed, "Here's the miracle baby!" My mom just smiled nervously as Dr. Kidwell went on and on about how he had sent my mom and dad to a specialist at a big hospital in Chicago because he was sure that there were going to be severe complications when I was born. "But when I saw you for the first time after you were born," he said as he looked me up and down, "there you were, a bouncing baby boy, alive as alive can be. I just couldn't believe my eyes. You're a real-life, honest-to-goodness miracle, son." I didn't say anything. What could I say? My mom didn't say anything either. But then his eyes found my special shoe on my left foot. His voice suddenly changed. In fact, his entire demeanor changed. A look of profound sadness, perhaps even pity, dawned over his face. Without meaning to, I had stolen the Christmas spirit from Santa Claus. This was how Santa must look when he discovers that some kid has been naughty enough to warrant a lump of coal in his stocking. I felt like that kid. From my left shoe, which was built on a special 1.5-inch platform, Dr. Kidwell's eyes slowly worked their way up until they settled on my hip. Even with my pants on, he could see, as anyone could, that my hip jutted out to one side. That was what caused my left leg to be 1.5 inch, later to become 2.5 inches, shorter than my right leg. He knew that even with my specially constructed shoe, I walked with a pronounced limp. I would do so for the rest of my life. And there it was, fully exposed, my flaw, my blemish, my imperfection, whatever you want to call it. He just continued to look at it. He didn't exactly stare, but he studied it just as he had done before. He didn't laugh. Grown-ups never laughed. But he didn't avoid looking at it either, like a lot of people tended to do after a while, like they were ashamed of something. Then Dr. Kidwell did what he had done the last time he looked at my hip and leg. He gave a sigh, as if to say, "Well, kid, that's life. Tough break." And while I had been healthy and hadn't seen Dr. Kidwell due to illness, he had seen my hip and leg before. When I was 4 years old, he had thoroughly examined me and sent my mom, dad, and me to a series of specialists. Each of them, in turn, pronounced my condition irremediable. Even though I didn't know exactly what that word meant, it didn't really bother me too much. I was doing fine and thought of myself as just an ordinary kid. What I didn't much care for was all the looking, twisting, and prodding that each doctor visit entailed. Every time I'd let out a scream so they'd stop their twisting and prodding. To be honest, I was being overly dramatic. It really didn't hurt that much. But I didn't want them to push any harder or twist any farther in case that would really hurt. I guess they were prophylactic screams. By the time my mom, dad, and I were through making the rounds of most of the orthopedic specialists in northern Illinois, I was nearly 5 years old. My hip and leg situation wasn't really a big deal as far as I was concerned. All I wanted was to live a normal life. So what if I had an extra platform on one shoe? Who cares? I always knew which shoes were mine. They never got mixed up with anybody else's shoes. I could and did run and play just like all the other kids. Maybe I wasn't quite as fast, but I was determined.